Looking back, 1904, a peek into the past. Changes for America. American families relax on Sunday afternoon drives. Wherever turn of the century Americans looked, they saw a changing world. Automobiles were taking the places of horses even on country roads. By the time Samantha was 19 years old, the Ford Motor Company had built over 1 million cars, all of them black. A new car came off the assembly line every 3 minutes. Trains linked every corner of the country. They could travel from New York to California in just 4 days. Today, jet planes make that same trip in 6 hours, but there were no jets at the turn of the century. The Wright brothers' airplane didn't carry passengers. The airplane, that crazy, dangerous, newfangled contraption the Wright brothers flew in 1903, wasn't used for passengers until Samantha was 40 years old. New York was already a big city in Samantha's time. Cities continued to grow bigger and bigger as Samantha grew up. Every day, hundreds of young people left their homes on America's farms to look for city jobs. Thousands of immigrants poured into American cities from all over the world. When they first arrived, most immigrants could not speak English. Some people made fun of them and only let them work as servants or peddlers or in city factories for long hours at low pay. Many immigrants had to live in crowded, run-down tenements and slums. But the immigrants still found opportunities in this country. In 1907, more immigrants than ever before came to America. They worked hard to learn a new language, get better jobs, and earn more money. Soon they enjoyed a good life in their new land and became proud and respected Americans. These farm girls took city jobs to earn money. As Samantha grew up, more and more Americans obeyed the laws that said all children, rich and poor, boys and girls, should go to school until they were 16. Education helped young women get jobs and earn money to take care of themselves. Back in the days when Grandmary Mary was young, it was improper for young ladies to even talk about money, and they certainly couldn't think about earning it. They were expected to live at home with their families until they got married and had husbands to take care of them. But by the time Samantha was old enough to work, people's attitudes had begun to change. Women could get jobs in department stores or in offices as secretaries, a job that only men had held before. Many women became phone operators since more and more homes and offices had telephones. Women worked as secretaries and telephone operators. Women who had gone to college became teachers or worked in a new profession called social work. One of the most famous social workers was a woman named Jane Addams, who founded Hull House, a settlement house that helped immigrants in Chicago learn English and train them for work. Jane Addams, who founded Hull House in 1889, worked there her entire life. Even though women could finally have jobs and earn their own money, it still wasn't proper for them to live alone. So there were special women's hotels and boarding houses where America's working girls could live and be carefully chaperoned or looked after. Electricity made housework easier. Once a young woman like Samantha got married, she quit her job, moved to a home of her own, and began to raise a family. Her home, like most in America, would have many modern inventions. Even people who were not wealthy had electric lamps, running water, gas stoves, refrigerators, and washing machines. Samantha would have needed those new machines to make housework easier because it was hard to find people who wanted to be servants. The immigrants who had been Grandmary's and Cornelia's maids had gotten better jobs, so a woman like Samantha had to do many chores herself. When Samantha grew up, mothers and daughters did housework together. Since there were few servants willing to take care of elaborate clothes like women wore at the turn of the century, fashions began to change too. New styles were simpler to take care of and easier to wear. Back when Grandmary was a young woman, her long skirts and petticoats with layers of ruffles might have weighed as much as 25 pounds. As a young woman, Grandmary would have worn a dress like this. Young women like Cornelia raised their hemlines a bit and stopped squeezing themselves into tight corsets that made it hard to move and even to breathe. By the time Samantha was a young woman, skirts were even shorter and clothing was even looser. These new styles upset some people. There were even some laws that said women would have to pay a fine and go to jail if their skirts were more than 3 inches above the ankle. Women stopped wearing corsets like this. But women liked the new freedom that shorter, more comfortable clothing gave them. These new styles seemed to be signs of the way women thought about themselves as active people who had places to go and work to do. They were women who would not be hemmed in by old-fashioned clothing or old-fashioned attitudes. As times changed, women shortened their dresses. 1894, 1904, 1909, 1914, 1919, 1924, 1929. Goodbye, so long, farewell.